Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to another episode of the Crown Me Now podcast. I'm your host, Sekou Clark, and today I have an amazing talk with two beautiful and amazing women. I have here with me today Miss Ericka Dunlap and Miss Bianka Pitts. I'll do a brief introduction for both women and then I'll have them explain exactly who they are. So we have Mrs. Ericka Dunlap, the only African-American woman who has been Miss Florida, and she's one of 9 African-American Miss America, serial entrepreneur, philanthropist, staunch businesswoman. Thank you for joining us, Ericka. I'm so humbled and so happy that you're able to join us.
My pleasure. I'm excited about the Crown Me Now podcast. This is right on down my alley.
Yes,
this is good
because you have worn a couple crowns.
That's true. This is my thing.
It's fitting, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And I also have Miss Bianka Pitts, serial entrepreneur, just an intellect, staunch businesswoman, social butterfly, and just an all-around amazing human being. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. I am just excited. I am honored. And oh my gosh, you are wonderful. So the energy is just crazy. It's crazy. I love it.
So, so happy that we have all CEOs here, which is just, amazing for us, the culture for people, but today especially for women. All right, so Ericka, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am from Orlando, Florida, and I have I've lived in a few places, but Orlando is still home, and of course my entire family lives here. But in the midst of all the travels and all the things I've been able to do, starting a business was the one thing that I kind of tripped into. It wasn't like an intentional thing. It just made the most sense after I won Miss America, which, to be honest, when I won Miss Florida, that was like the biggest surprise in my life, to be honest. Then winning Miss America was a big surprise, but the biggest was winning Miss Florida because, as you said, I'm the only Black woman to win Miss Florida. So I never thought I was going to really actually win.
In 90 years of the competition, still the only African-American Miss Florida.
It's mind-blowing sometimes that I get the chance to represent the culture. Yeah. And it's daunting because there are times when I think to myself, everything that I do is not about me, but it represents everything that I represent. So, from my Miss America sisters and the organization to my sorority to my social organization I'm a part of, like everything I do represents everything that I am. So it's like bigger than me. But anyhow, after winning Miss America, I just decided that I didn't want to work for other people.
Yes.
that was like the main thing for me. It was like, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My father was a master roofer and a construction entrepreneur. So it was like, I know how to do this. I used to go to his office when I was like 10 years old and sit and play and pretend like I was typing stuff. And then he started teaching me how to do contracts for him and for his business and
so
how to do
proposals. So there were no dolls or tiaras?
No, well, there's a lot of that too. There's a lot of that because I'm the baby of 5 siblings. Okay. So my 3 sisters, I was their baby doll. So they used to dress me up and I had all the Barbies and I still collect Barbies. Yeah. It's a whole thing. So like, I'm definitely a girly girl, but my dad, I just would go to his office all the time. So I kind of knew that I wanted to always be like an office person. And then it became like after Miss America, okay, well, what are you going to do when you grow up? After this. And I stumbled into my own business and my degree is in public relations. And so it just made sense to continue with the publicity of being Miss America, but, you know, being a speaker, being just a businesswoman in that role. So I have Crown Communication Group was my first business, and it has been lasting for quite some time. And I'm really proud to say that we're about 14 years in. And in 14 years, I've learned a lot.
No Communication Group.
Crown Communication Group.
Oh my goodness! I'm like, that is
That's what I was saying. Like, I'm so excited to be on the Crown Me Now podcast because,
It seems like this may need to be in our
this
podcast.
is like Destin. What?
yes.
That is
So
awesome.
Crown Communication Group has been keeping me afloat for many years.
Okay.
And we focus in on executive public relations. And we also have a philanthropic arm where we help nonprofit organizations to boost their public awareness so that people know who they are and what they offer.
Okay. So the last time that you and I had a run-in, and we tend to randomly run into each other, I was at Mall of Millennia trying to go to the Louboutin store. And they said, no, you can't come in. It's closed. And I'm walking away, and the security guard said, hey, somebody's calling you back. And I'm like, okay, who is this?
Because it's funny. I had just saw one of your billboards and I was like, no, I know him. He can come in. He can come in. So no.
And that was an awesome event for a really good cause.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So I try to do a lot of charitable cause related activities because I feel like that is my legacy. That's a part of who I am supposed to be. I think, you know, I know the recent passing of Queen Elizabeth has been, you know, a lot of people are talking about that, but to me, Princess Diana is always and forever the ultimate symbol of what it means to be royal. And to me, royalty is not just being beautiful and being delicate, but, you know, to be a queen for me means that you have to be a servant of your people. And you have to know the heartbeat of the people that you serve. So it's one thing for me to just be Miss America and think that I sit on a high horse. There's nothing like being able to really touch the people that you are providing resources for and giving opportunities to.
That's such a good point, because my guys and I in our group chat, we always say that today's generation of women, they're like so different. You know, it's all about look at me.
Yeah.
And you know, this is who I am. But it's so refreshing to hear you say that. I mean, a real queen is about service and embodying the people.
Yeah, how can you help people? Okay, you're fantastic, you're amazing, you're great, but what are you doing for other people? That's what really makes you special. You know, like we can't all be Kim Kardashian and just like wake up and have this fabulous team of people that make sure my feet don't touch the ground. You know, that's not real life. Real life is, you know, are you doing something that helps other people to elevate?
That's amazing. And Bianca, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I am Bianca, aka the Lifeline Lady. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, South Side. My mom is Jamaican, my dad is American. I know, crazy mix.
Bop, 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 bop.
So I'm Jamaican, if you would say. I've lived in Florida, Orlando for pretty much half of my life. And I have a referral service business. To back up, I went to UCF. I graduated from UCF with a legal studies major. And from then, during college, I was single mom, just my daughter and I going to school. And from then, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? I wanted to become an attorney. So I got accepted into law school, and it's been a journey ever since. So it's like, cool, you're an attorney. I'm not too sure how you're doing it, but how you went to law school, it was, it's the hardest thing ever. But as of right now, I do have my referral service. I work with attorneys. I work with doctors. I've built this relationship with some amazing doctors and attorneys. I deal mainly with auto accidents. And this is where I'm at right now. So.
Wow. So, so law student, business owner, single mom, Jamaican.
We need two more jobs to add to
I need another job, right? I need another job.
That's a whole lot
Oh my goodness.
to unpack.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ericka, in terms of highlights of your career, I mean, one would easily want to say it's becoming Miss Florida, becoming Miss America. But I mean, what would you say is the highlight of your career?
Wow. Okay, a couple things come to mind. Number one, I got to travel. It was the first Miss America in like over 35 years to travel to a war area. So I went to Kuwait and Iraq during the Iraqi conflict, and I was able to meet with the soldiers and the servicemen and women there. And so I felt like that was a huge highlight to my career because I was going over there at a really critical and vulnerable time, but I was doing something again to try to bring some home, something comfortable to people who were there. And what made it really special was that there were young women who were my age. So at the time I was 21 and, I had to defer school for the year. And I'm in Iraq with other 20 and 21-year-old young ladies who are doing a totally different service to the country. And we had this, we had a common bond because we were both 20, 21 years old, really being uncertain with the way that our lives are going to really shape, but in very different ways. So like polar opposite ways, but like mine was more glamorous and theirs was a lot more literal boots on the ground. But that was really telling to me because it helped me to define that, again, my work is not just about me. It's not just about me making a bunch of money. It's about how am I able to impact someone else? And I feel like, mental health is something that we talk about now, but even back then, it was always important for me to make other people feel good about where they were at in life and what they were able to accomplish. And I feel like that was a big career highlight, like being able to travel across the world and still affect people and affect change and influence people. Like I'm an OG influencer. This whole like Instagram influencer thing is like, you guys don't know what it's like to do it from the trenches.
Yeah.
Like I've been influencing for a long time.
So you're 21 years old and you're in Iraq.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had some party time here in the States, but I mean, again, it just goes back to showing the difference in the culture. Because like, even for me nowadays, I tell people that in order for me to have gotten where I am today, there had to be some type of sacrifice and had to be some type of service. But even with the higher I climb, it's still two things that are important: sacrifice and service. And I think that is lost today. People want in Jamaica, we say the hurry come up, which is like the instant gratification. I want it now. I see it. It should be mine, without making a sacrifice and then without giving any type of service, giving back to anything at all. So you were in Iraq before being crowned or after? After.
So it was after. And that, being Miss America has given me a really nice platform to reach people that I would not have ever reached before. So another career highlight for me was just being able to meet other dark-skinned Black women who didn't feel like they were validated for their beauty. And other young women who were like, I wanted to get a nose job before I saw you win Miss America.
Wow.
And, I always thought that I was too dark to be considered pretty. Like things like that. When you meet people, when you meet young people and they're like streaming, crying, and they're telling me their story about how they didn't feel adequate until they saw me as a representative, that makes me know that it was on purpose, on time, that everything happened the way it did for me.
Well, so, I have so many questions. How was that journey, right, to the crown? But like also, where did you pull your confidence from? Like, were you always that confident? Did you always like say, okay, I am beautiful, I am eloquent, and I know I can win this title? Or how did everything culminate for you to get on the stage?
So part of my business is actually, I work with a lot of executives and professionals who do one thing really well. Like they're really good at medicine or they're really good at law, but they want to transition into something else. And so I help them to find the confidence to take on that next thing that they're going to do. And so I call myself like a confidence coach. I'm not a life coach because I don't know anything about life. I'm very clear about that. But I am a confidence coach because I have had to, since I was 6 years old, that's when I first did my first competition. I was 6.
Oh, wow.
So since I was 6, I have been being judged by people based on my looks first and then my intellect next. So it's like I always had to work harder to make sure that if I wasn't considered the prettiest girl in the competition, you are not going to beat me in an interview. I was going to rip it. Like I always gave more substance than the next girl because I put more effort into, well, who am I? You know,
It's
even
making
when
me
I was a
sweat
little
over
girl,
here, guys. Like,
no, but seriously, when I was a little girl, I knew that, like, you know, I was kind of cute or whatever, but not really like. I wasn't as polished up as some of the other girls, and I didn't have the expensive clothes like they did. But I could out-talk all of them, and I always had a way with words, and I knew that, all right, I know where I can beat you, and that usually was what makes the judges fall in love with you is how you are able to eloquently express yourself. You know, I always had an answer to the questions, even if I didn't really know what the question meant. Yes. I had an answer, and I wasn't BSing. I was really involved in knowing who I was as a young person. I'm a Capricorn, so, you know, Capricorns, we're kind of like that. Like, we have to be on top.
Yes.
So in terms of being judged all the time, right? So for me, my dad was my coach growing up, and my dad was like a really well-known, well-recognized coach in Jamaica. He's the Jamaican Olympic coach. So when I was in high school, I was always known as Mr. Clark's son, and he would always tell me, "Hey, you're representing me." So I was always feeling judged, always feeling like you're in a glass house, and you know, sometimes it may get lonely. And it also creates other insecurities. Did you ever have any of those type of issues where you had insecurities or you were questioning if this is the route that you wanted to go?
I don't think I really felt comfortable with like fitting in with other people until I was in my 30s, to be honest. Because of that, because I had made so many sacrifices, and I'm the youngest of 5 children by 15 years. So my siblings were 20 years older, 18 years older, 16 and 15 years older than me my whole life. Okay. So I was always around older people. And when they left the house, I was by myself. So I became kind of like an only child. I had to entertain myself. I had to make sure that my homework was done, you know, before my mom got home from work. And I had to, you know, just do things differently. I felt like I always had to be in this little bubble of excellence because I had no choice. I had these older siblings that were watching me. I had nieces and nephews when I was younger. They're watching me.
Bubble of excellence. That's a really, really good way to say that. Yeah.
So when I in my 20s, I was still in this bubble because then I was Miss America. So it was like anything I did, if I won the lottery, I was going to be Miss America won the lottery. If I hit somebody in a car, Miss America hit somebody on a highway. You know, it was always like, okay, let me watch my back. Yeah. So I didn't really kind of like let loose and find my tribe until I was in my 30s, which yes, could be kind of late. But the good thing is that I feel like I missed a lot of misfortune. Yeah. By doing it a little later in life.
That's interesting. Sometimes I tend to feel that way again because, you know, as an athlete, you sacrifice so much. And especially being a coach's son and always held to a higher standard. When I was younger, it was more challenging. But like now as an attorney, I'm held to a higher standard.
Same thing.
You know, I'm thinking about later on down the road, maybe some type of office or bench. But no, it's easier. Because I'm okay with being judged and okay with holding myself to a higher standard. So I guess that's a benefit,
Yeah.
so to speak. But when you're younger, it takes some time to really accept that you can't party as hard as your friends are. You always have to have a third eye as to your decisions and the thing you make and the places that you go.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bianca, so I know in your life, just like getting to know you, you're in law school. I know you started a little bit later,
Yes.
and being a single mother. How did you navigate that? Like, was there any type of insecurity, or were you like, I have to get this no matter what?
Absolutely. It took me a while to figure out balance. And that was like my biggest, balancing being a mom, balancing being an entrepreneur, balancing being a sister, balancing being a daughter. I'm just like, I really have to find balance. And I'm 33. So I'm literally just now getting it. So I feel you.
Time,
you got
plenty of time, trust me.
Yeah, so it's
great.
definitely some insecurity, being in law school. It took me a while. So I'm taking my time. Taking a while, but I'm noticing as far as insecurities, I'm looking at my friends and I'm just like, wow, this person is an attorney already. This person is a doctor already. But I'm okay with that because I'm me. Yeah. And my purpose and my timeline does not define who I am. You know what I mean? So I
almost think you're going to be better off, to be honest. I wanted to be an attorney when I was younger, and I was always telling, up until Miss America, I was like, yeah, I'm going to law school. I'm doing that.
You totally have the attorney vibe, by the way.
You really do.
Totally have the vibe.
Yes.
The posture, everything.
Yes.
And that's still not out of the cards for me. I know if I were to go, it would be like I would be by far the oldest person. But in the same vein, I've done so much. You've done so much that the average student they haven't lived that life. They haven't had the experience. So you're going to
Agreed for sure. Agreed for sure.
And I always tell you, Bianca, I started law school when I was 29. So I was definitely one of the older ones. Mm-hmm. And you look around and you see all the 23, 24-year-olds, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't matter, because I feel like you're bringing more life experience. You've overcome more adversities and just being more hands-on. And I think it makes you that much more of a beast when you choose whichever law to practice or whatever business field you go into, because you started with more.
And that's so true. I do a lot of women empowerment. With young women like myself, and being able to influence women my age and single moms. I'm like, you know what? You can do it. This is my testimony, and this is what this is my timeline, and this is what I'm doing. You can do it too. So being able to really be, an influential person to people my age, that's a big deal, especially Black women, young Black women. Because it's really hard, because we have to work extra hard. I'm like, oh my gosh,
so it's easier for like a guy like me to sit and say, all right, I know and I understand, but can both of you articulate to me why it's harder on the next level for Black women?
Oh. I'll let you take
Let me take a drink.
They have to take a drink.
Right, yeah. Okay, I'll start for just a second, because I think that one of the biggest issues is just having respect. Was it Malcolm X who said that the most under protected woman in America, or species in America, is the Black woman? Mm-hmm. And it's like, we are so underprotected. I feel like in business, it becomes that much more difficult. Like, we have to toe a fine line of you can't be an angry Black woman. So you have to be
soft. You have
to
be vulnerable.
Softer, but business is aggressive no matter what. And so if you're focused on what your bottom line is, and you got mouths to feed, you got goals to reach, you got things that you're trying to accomplish, you can't afford to be labeled, but by the same token, you got to get things done. And I think that we're raised a different way to be able to attack certain issues differently. And I just feel like that is labeled, and it becomes really hard to earn the respect of being a savvy businesswoman without being labeled as, difficult.
Or like an
Absolutely.
or like an angry
Yeah.
black woman.
Yeah, because I'm being direct doesn't mean I'm being angry.
Yeah.
Right.
I have enveloped myself with a lot of male counterparts and male friends in business who have just taught me how to go for what I want. Just actually, they've taught me how to take all of the perfume away. That's what one of my mentors, he was like, take the perfume off of that. And I was like,
but do you think that some black women subscribe to that stereotype, like being angry, or do you think black women are more just misunderstood?
I think it's a little bit of both. I don't know if it's angry as much as it is aggressive.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
the
I would
angry
say.
part, I think, has been misunderstood. The aggressive part is, I don't know. I think because we're expected to have attitude and always have some type of, we always have to talk back, or I think that's the expectation when a
Right.
lot of times it's just, I'm just trying to defend myself and defend my reason for being here. Like, I have a reason for being here and you're going to listen to it. So
Yeah,
I don't
it
feel
goes-
like it's angry.
Yeah, it goes back to, because my everyday, most of the time I am with men, right? I have a referral service, and my competition is either a 401 pain or it's either a 321 no fault, and both of those businesses are male owned. And with me, I'm like, oh wow, like how can I really set aside and and think like, okay, they're my competition, so I really have to be. I used to think I have to be aggressive, I have to be strong, I have to, make sure I stand out from these men, and really, I just want to be myself. No one can hold the key the way that I hold the key, because
There you go.
I have
love
it,
that one. Yeah.
I have it. I'm the
Yeah.
key holder. And to answer your question of being, what's the highlight of your career, is being a key holder. Like I have the key, I have the keys to my business and to what I'm doing, and I know my purpose. And I'm just figuring it out at 33 years old. So
Wow.
that's the highlight of my career. But I love this. So.
I remember one of the most resonating things I've heard was from Michelle Obama. She was speaking on when she was on the first campaign trail with her husband, and she said the Fox Media and the other side, they were painting her out to be the angry black woman, and I mean, here you have well-educated, well-rounded, and she's like, I'm not that person. So she said she had her coach, basically someone on the campaign train, said, all right, watch yourself on this video and put it on mute. And what do you see? And she was like, wow, so she said she noticed right away that her mannerisms were distracting from what was coming out of her mouth. And she said she made that one adjustment and the entire tune like changed. And like that was, and like even for me, like no, I'm like watching myself and I'm like, what's my body language communicating? Is it like distracting from the message that I'm trying to communicate? So I thought that was like really, really impressive as to how one coaching cue makes you really understand as to where you can be misunderstood, especially as a black woman. So,
well, 70% of communication is nonverbal.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people miss that, is that our nonverbal cues are the things that people hear us before they ever see us, or they see us before they ever hear us. And that's really important, that, you pay attention to how are you projecting, how are you presenting yourself. That's what I help people to do.
Yeah.
So, you can just
Help me, please.
contact me and I can tell you what you're doing wrong. But no, even for myself, I've made a lot of mistakes. I have made some social media mistakes.
Tell us your most memorable mistake that you made. Sure. We're all here to learn.
Oh gosh, my most memorable mistake, social media wise, at least, I'll put it there. Is just responding to comments. Just even caring what some people have to say. There are people that attack me. I had someone attack me last week and I have no idea what they were talking about, but they came on to one of my posts and they wrote all this nasty stuff. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
okay, I have 50 great comments from people who care about me, who love me. And then I have one jerk.
And you find the one. And
right. And that one is the one that I'm like, I want to rip into him. And then I had to remember, this comment that you're about to make back to this random person who you don't know, who's not paying any bills, who's not doing anything for your peace of mind. They're not contributing to you at all. They're just trying to tear you down. You're really going to put effort into this idiot.
Exactly.
That really doesn't have any kind of substantive. They're just coming up with stuff like, what are you even talking about? That's not even me. That's not something I would do. So you can't put energy into that. And there was a time back in the 2013 era of me that I used to like. I used to be an angry black woman.
Wow.
So yeah, I do regret some of them.
Yeah.
But then I had a mentor to teach me, it was like, was it true? And those are a part of the 4 agreements, if you guys are familiar with that. But like, number 1, is it true? Like, is it true to you in that moment? If it is, then just own it.
Yeah.
And, deal with the consequences later. But if you feel like it's true, then, that's what you have to go with.
Interesting. So, since you're on social media and we're talking about confidence and everything that comes with beauty and how you look, do you think social media today has helped progress women?
Yes.
Or do you think it has regressed? Because now women can put anything out there. And once you put something out there, it's for everybody to comment. Or do you think women have really advanced in the social media era while protecting mental health? I know it's a multifaceted question, but Bianca, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I'm guilty of this because, social media, I look at so many beautiful women on social. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need to get it together. It's a mental thing. I really do think it's a mental thing. I look at Kim Kardashian. I look at, Cardi B. I look at Nicki Minaj. I'm like, and it's a mental thing. Like, you really have to know who you are. And you really have to have this mindset, because I have different pictures. I mean, you've seen my photos, like you're a different person. And I really had to, take a step back to say, let me not lose myself in this. You really have to have the mindset of keeping who you are and knowing, this is just how I look. This is what it is. I do think it's a mental thing for sure.
And don't be so distracted by, these people have teams. Everyone that you mentioned has teams of people to execute that look. So it's not like,
I really think you need to pull that up and say that over again.
They do have
so
teams.
All the women can really hear that. Like when they see some of these celebs and even some of the influencers who have like 1 million plus, who they compare themselves to, who they put on all the filters, they have teams, like a whole squad.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. They have a squad. They have strategies. They have, campaigns that they're running essentially. And this becomes a full-fledged business, but it's because they took that one special thing about them and they amplified it and they worked it. So that's what you have to do for yourself. Don't worry about the competition. I learned early on when I was getting ready for Miss Florida, I had a coach that taught me, you can be aware of your competition. I'm sure as a runner, you probably know this, right? You're aware of what's going on around you, but you got to run your own race. Like when I would go in the gym, I wasn't going into the gym to look like my competition,
Right?
Because I have my own body. So I had to look my best. I had to give what I consider my best. So if I'm going hard and I'm working out, and I'm listening to different opinions from different talk radio and different podcasts that are differing opinions from my own, but just to be able to articulate the defense. I can't just say that, oh, well, this is what I believe. Well, why do you believe that? Can you actually get into your own head to say why you believe it? And does it make sense based on the other people that oppose what you have to say?
Right.
So I had to really do that because that's what pageant interviews used to be about. Back in the day, it was like a panel, 7 people as your judges, and you had to just take their question rapid fire, and their question could be about anything. And these people, you don't want to offend them, but you also have to stand your own. You have to stand your own ground. So you have to state what it is that's important to you, regardless as to what their thoughts are, what their opinion is. And you have to be able to take a rebuttal. So if they come back at you and they're like, yeah, but X, Y, and Z happened, and you have to be able to stand your ground and not compromise yourself, not compromise your own beliefs. So I had to really dig deep. As a 20-year-old, I had to sacrifice, some of the things that were fun so that I could focus in on this one goal so I can make that happen and then do other things. Yeah.
Very nice.
I love it.
So do you subscribe to the other set of women that say, okay, well, if I want to get a BBL or I want to get my lips and cheeks, it's making me happy. So that's all that matters, even though they're changing themselves. But they say, hey, it makes me happy and I feel good when I, with this new look.
As long as you do not lose yourself, because as women, you're free to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's your body. But as long as you do not lose your mindset and your purpose and why you're here, and you don't lose yourself,
yeah,
I think it's okay. I'm all for the, BBLs and, the tweaks,
So you can
enhancing.
twerk.
It's really enhancing your beauty.
Gotcha.
You're still going to be the same person as long as you don't lose yourself.
Yeah. See, I respectfully disagree just because I have had a surgery and I was like, this was a waste of money. And I could have given this money to a worthy cause. And here I am spending it on me, getting this perfect figure, and then I got fat again. So it was like, seriously, I was just like, this is a waste. And that was my personal experience. I wish that I had done differently with that. That was a good chunk of money that I could have spent on something else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And coming from Miss America to...
I don't know if I've been really open about that, but I tell my friends who have considered doing certain things, like, I believe in boob jobs. I think that they're worthwhile because I know what that means for a lot of women to have that kind of confidence is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But getting like BBLs, liposuction, or I'm just a little nervous about that stuff because I've seen how it goes wrong for a lot of people, and a lot of people who are actually not big enough to have that kind of fat taken out of their body in the way it's a very invasive surgery. So to get something like that done, I just feel like some people should just really go to the
Go
gym.
the natural way.
Just work for it. It doesn't take that long if you work hard for it. And that's with anything. Okay. If you just go to the gym and try and you watch what you're eating, it won't take very long.
So here's a question that I think most men would want to know. When you do any type of body tweak, would you say you're doing it for yourself or doing it for attraction of a man?
That's a good question. Definitely. It's back in the day. Now that I know who I am, I definitely would do it only for me. As we grow up, you see, like I said, it's a whole mental thing. Seeing this generation is just crazy right now.
So different.
But For me, I'm doing it for myself. And that's why I say, as long as you keep that mindset, you're doing it for you and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay. You know, I have my best friend. She has her surgery scheduled. You know, I'm scared. I'm terrified for her. But I know why she's doing it. I know her purpose. And it's just for her. It's satisfying her. So as long as you're doing it for you, I think it's good.
Yeah, as long as you can be honest that you're really doing it for you. I think that's the most important thing, because I don't know if people are being honest
with themselves.
That, yes, I'm really doing this because I want to look this way for me, because you don't know if it will attract a man. You don't know if it will, your surgery may not keep a man.
And I know. And to piggyback, I know women who've gotten the surgery and it didn't go as planned. And they actually look, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. Let's have a plan. You go back. But is it for you? Like, I'm just asking you a question. Is it for you? But yeah, so.
Did you ask her if the man paid for it?
I did.
And he did.
But even if the man paid for it, that doesn't mean you're doing it for him. That just means that he believes in your dream. And he's helping to fund your dream to come true.
That's right.
Okay.
It's a worthy investment.
It's a worthy investment. So, all right. So, I mean, beauty, confidence. Do you think this has transferred into your success as an entrepreneur? And
we were just talking about that.
Yes.
I was telling her, like, it's totally sexist, but it's true. Like, it's so helpful to be an attractive person. And that helps. And, TV land may not think that I'm attractive, but to me, I think I'm all that in a bag of chips. Okay. And you have to.
I love it.
Right? You have to feel good about yourself in order to walk into a room and demand things. And I'm demanding from clients. I'm demanding from investors. I'm stating what I want, and I know that I'm worth it. So yes, I feel like looking the part is half the battle. And I was telling her earlier, I was like, you can do anything because you're an attractive woman.
Yes, and you're so right. You would believe the yeses that I've gotten. And I'm like, wow, did they really just say yes to me? I'm just like, this dress, it was a little bit tight, but, so it's amazing. Like the looks, like the beauty. And I'm like, okay, if I look this way, would I have gotten the same yes? Like, do you think, what do you think about that? Would you have gotten the same yes?
Some of the rooms that I've been in, oh my gosh, I know for sure I would not have gotten in those rooms if it weren't for just the look, first of all. Like, there are times when people don't believe I'm Miss America because when they think of Miss America, they don't think of a Black woman. Correct. So a lot of times people are like incredulous. They're like, okay. And then when somebody Googles it, they're like, oh, she really was? Oh, okay. And then it becomes like their eyes light up and they get excited. But I think a lot of times it's just because, when you put yourself together, and it may not be the beauty part, maybe it's, the attire, maybe it's the heels, maybe it's the allure of femininity that I possess that helps me to be able to get through to certain people.
And I feel like so many entrepreneurs, they overlook the look. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember when I started my own practice, right? I decided that no matter which room that I walk into, people must want to know who I am before I speak. So no matter where I went, I was always dressed as focused on the attire, because as human beings, we're all about optics first. Yeah. Right. We're visual creatures. And I feel like so many entrepreneurs, they miss that boat.
Especially in Florida, I feel like a lot of people are very t-shirt and flip-flops. Yes. And it's cool. Like, I get it. You like, accept me for who I am, and that's fine. But I feel like it takes just as much energy for me to put on a nice pair of slacks as it does for me to put on jeans. So why not just put on a pair of slacks with the same shirt, and then all of a sudden I'm dressed up, even though, to me, wearing a casual suit for me is literally like casual attire. I wear outfits. I don't wear just like clothes.
I've never seen you underdressed ever.
I can do it. I've learned how to do it, but it's taken me a long time.
With a baseball cap and
yeah, those days happen, especially when I go to work out. When I go to work out, even though
you got
most
the
of the
full
time,
glam working out.
No. My clothes are usually coordinated, but like I do, like a sports bra and a pair of yoga pants. That's my look when I go to work out. So I feel like that's very casual.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be like I'm wearing shorts today, but these are like dressy shorts, so it's kind of hard to see me in like you won't typically see me in like jean shorts and like flip flops. I just
well, I'm not. I didn't get the memo. No,
you're super cute. Don't get me wrong. This is a very complete look. Yes, it's together. But I'm just saying, it was like a national holiday when I wore jeans for the first time in high school because people were like, Dunlap is wearing jeans today. I just don't. Yeah, I've always been a dressed up kind of person.
Yes, and it's so crazy you're saying that. So I am, thankfully, I'm not supposed to say this, but I have a suit line coming out. I love for women. So
nice.
It's for women, and I'm going to be doing a lot of giveaways for young entrepreneurs.
What's the name? Oh, you don't want to say that yet? Okay.
Let's just hold it. We're going to hold it. Just know that it's coming.
Okay, we'll hold it. It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. So February 2023. I'm so excited. So, the reason I'm doing this, I see a lot of women, young women. Like I said, I do a lot of women empowerment. And for suits, for me, I am obsessed with suits. I mean, I have pink suits, I have blue suits, I have, white suits. I change my pants. I'm like, okay, this is a little bit of a podcast. Let me, dress down a little bit. But I just love suits. And for me as a woman and doing what I'm doing and being in a room with mostly men, I just love suits. So I'm so excited.
To me mean respect. It's just like I respect myself.
Volume.
And I want you to respect me too. So it's like I am projecting what I want you to reflect back to me. I'm projecting respect and I want you to reflect respect.
Yeah. So
let me know.
I get your measurements.
Yeah.
So life as an entrepreneur. So I know for you both, style is a big part. What do you think men, they overlook as a challenge in terms of being an entrepreneur? Like for me, the challenge that I think a lot of people overlook is just because you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean you're going to make more than somebody that's doing a 9-to-5.
That's true.
Right.
That is so true.
Yeah. And you have to really change the way how you see money, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think now as an entrepreneur, money, I see it as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
I see it as something that isn't even related to time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who start their own businesses, they don't realize that they start their own business thinking that I'm automatically going to make more money. And I feel like when you focus on the money, you actually lose vision. You lose your connection to the product or the service that you're going for, and you really, really miss the details. And that's the biggest pitfalls of entrepreneurs, because they miss the steps, they miss the details. But these are the steps and details that your consumers and your customers and your clients, that's what they see, because they're the one who want the product and they want the service. But the entrepreneur, they're focused on the money, especially when none is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I've
been down that road.
Yeah. When there's a cash flow issue, and then now you're making decisions for cash flow versus making decisions on your process.
Right.
So that's a thing that I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they really overlook. That is like staying true to their process, their steps, their details, as to the service or product that they're going to bring to a consumer versus just the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like staying stagnant. Like, I'm happy now. but I know there's so much more for me, and change for me is like so scary. I'm like, oh, I have to, once you're successful, it's so hard staying successful than, actually getting there.
Mhm.
So for me, it's just staying stagnant. Like I have to get out of my comfort zone. Like I'm comfortable right now, but this is not my end. So, even, Warren, I'm like, hey, look, we got to get your social media up.
Warren who?
Gotta get your
Warren
Warren
who?
Weir. Oh my God, he's amazing. You gotta we have to get your social media. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been procrastinating on purpose because I am scared. I'm like, no, I don't like change. People know who I am. I'm the Lifeline lady. This is it. But it's a part of staying, my fear of change, and what's to come. I pray every single day. I pray all the time, and I ask God, and I say, hey, God, this is where I want to be. And when people pray, God I literally posted something like this today. God really, you make that order, and he sends you your prayer in a box. We don't know where it's coming from. And it's that fear, like, what's next? So that's my fear is, changing and getting over that hump of staying stagnant. So
that was vulnerable.
Oh my gosh.
That's
I'm like,
really, really vulnerable.
That was really, really
so
nice to
just,
say.
pray for me, guys. So
You're fine.
I'm going to the next step.
I think a lot of times when we actually know what our fears are and when we can articulate it the way you did, that you're really not afraid. You're just way too deep in your comfort zone and you just need to get out. You're not scared. You're not scared of much of anything. I can tell.
Right.
You're not
right.
scared. You're not afraid. I don't subscribe to that. And we're chopping that off
Rebuke
right now.
that,
You're
right?
not scared.
Yes.
You just need to take one step.
Okay.
And I'm preaching to myself too, because social media has been a pain point for me. And being in the public relations, publicity, branding world, I feel like I can do it for other people so easily. And it's so hard for me to do it for myself. So I'm with you on
Totally
this.
agree.
And I'm trying to talk myself out of being afraid to, take TikTok by the horns and just like run with it. But I'm like, okay, well, where do I start? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Am I supposed to dance? Like, I'm dancing on TikTok, but maybe I should. I don't really know. I'm pretty funny. Maybe I should just do some sketches or I should do some voiceovers. I don't know. But I haven't done it yet. So that's my next thing.
We're going to do this.
Partners.
Okay. We're going to do that. My 13-year-old, she has it down pat.
See, you're so lucky.
So
you already have an intern.
you.
My
She's gonna
intern is
help
only
us.
2. So she's got a long time before she learns how to work my phone and be my little social media manager.
Yeah. So fear seems to be the common denominator.
Yeah.
I'd say. I mean, for fear in entrepreneurship, my biggest fear is losing it all. That is what drives me
Oh my
right
gosh.
now is losing it. So every day I get up, sometimes I think the worst case scenario first, but I create strategies to get around the worst case scenario.
Right.
Okay.
And I mean, it may be a little bit toxic because it's not a positive mindset. But for me, because in my space, I've been only practicing for 5 years, and some people say, "Wow, you've done this in 5 years."
Yes.
That most attorneys or law firms would have done in 15, 20. So I'm always thinking if it happened that fast, I can lose it that fast. So it's a constant.
That's good though.
It's a constant thought process where I'm always trying to create, and sometimes it's exhausting. That's why I say it may be toxic, but I'm constantly trying to redefine. And then I read John Morgan's book. It says I can't remember the name of the book, but he said that is what drove him as well. Is you build something and then it's pulling down, and it's this weird balance, this balance of being the positive person and leading and growing, but in your mind you're like, holy shit, what if I lose this? What if this fails? And you're constantly, but for me, I guess I use it to always create, but it's a nonstop it's a nonstop creating and strategizing because you fear not losing. You fear not losing. And you said earlier, it's easy to be successful, but to actually keep it and stay there. And I feel a lot of people on their trajectory upwards, they don't realize that that's even more emotionally and psychologically challenging.
Right.
Is that fear of not losing, that fear of actually losing and going back to square one. But I think what makes me different is I'm also not afraid of going to square one because I know what it feels like.
Yeah. And you're such a go-getter, Saku. Like every time I talk to listen, I believe, so your thoughts turn into your actions, and you're always like positive. Like you're always, like you're my mentor. Okay, so every time I meet with you, it's like, hey, we have to do this, this is next, but you're always so positive when, you're talking to me. And I believe that energy really transfer, even meeting you today, just when you walked in the building, like the vibes, the energy was just so amazing. I had one heck of a day, but I'm like, it's okay. The energy is amazing. So energy is everything.
It is. Yeah. It is. And those are good points. I think, for me, the focus has been, because I have lost in business before. I had a major challenge, and the biggest challenge was that the pandemic happened. And so one of my businesses had to close due to the pandemic, and I was so sad about it. But the beauty of it is that I found out 2 weeks later I was pregnant. So it was like, okay, this is why it had to happen that way. Wow. And I didn't realize, I was like really, so my mind was just congested with this, like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I'm about to fail in front of people, and people are going to see this, and then I'm not going to have this physical product that I had anymore, and I have to tell people that it didn't work out and all this. But then the miracle of my life happened, and I literally birthed something so much more meaningful. Wow. So it's like every loss that you have, it helps you. It's almost like a seed going into the ground, and it just has to be buried for a little while, and then eventually something is gonna spring from the ground.
It's the SSC rule. I don't know if TD Jakes. I don't know if you guys listen to TD Jakes, but he says your setback is your setup for your come up.
Okay,
or your comeback. Yeah. Yes. So, I mean, it's so true. So I look at all my setbacks that I've endured throughout my life, and I've been coming back, it's just a matter of stepping out and doing more. So,
and I feel like this generation, they're afraid to take L's. They're afraid to take L's. Like the minute they see a challenge or an obstacle, they're like, oh, this is not for me. I'm gone, depressed. Someone come help me. But I feel like in my career, and I'm sure in yours, you've taken more L's.
A lot.
Than wins. Right?
Yeah, that's what that's the name of the game. Like, you have to lose. Sometimes you have to lose when you're at your best.
Yes.
So that it doesn't have to be a big loss, but it just has to be something to just kind of like, shift you just a little bit. So you're like, okay, I'm good. I got this. Just keep going. Just keep going. So I've had to learn how to accept my losses. And I think that was another good thing about competing at such an early age, because like for me, pageants was like a sport. And so I always had to practice, I had to practice my modeling routines, practice my interview questions. I had to practice a lot of different things, and there was still no guarantee that I would win. So it was like a gamble every single weekend that I would do a competition. It was like, okay, my mom is going to put down $500 for me to do this, and the prize is $2,000. So I gotta, it was almost like gambling. Literally, I gotta bring the bacon home. Like I am going out, and she's putting this money down, plus all the clothes, the travel, the hotel, the whatever.
Oh my goodness.
And then I've got to be able to perform well enough to bring it in. So it was always like really difficult when you didn't win that big prize because it's like, okay, well, that was the light bill.
Wow.
Ooh, that was the water. That was the cable. That was the whatever. Like there were a lot of sacrifices made for me to be better and for me to be great. So, now I'm raising a child that I want her to have that same embodiment of, my mom is making sacrifices for me to be great. So I have to be great not for her, but I have to be great for, or I don't want my daughter to think she has to be great for me. I want her to be great for herself. But I also want her to know that I'm sticking my neck out for you.
Absolutely.
Are you gonna put her in pageants? She's gonna be the Miss America now.
Oh, she might be Miss Universe. Like I'm all about that. I would love for her to do that if she wants to. I don't know. I think she's going to do something very special. I just don't know what. I mean, she loves to sing and dance, but she also she holds a pen perfectly as a 20-month-old. She's like, she holds a pen and she writes and I'm like, oh, maybe she's going to be an author. Or maybe she, I don't know what she's going to do, but whatever it is, like, I got your back. We are going all the way because mommy doesn't lose well. Yeah. It's okay to lose, but I don't lose well. Right. So we're just going to rock it. Like whatever she says she wants to do, we're going to take it and we're going to run with it. Like I'm raising a Tiger Woods. Yeah.
So I know there's a glamorous side to pageantry, but I know the other side of it, they said a lot of the women have a lot of mental health, go through spells of depression, challenges like that. Would you say that is something that is true with that world? And if so, how do you advise women or just people dealing with heavy depression that comes from certain choices?
Wow, I have never thought of it that way until right now, to be honest with you, because, mental health to me, I'm a mental health advocate for a variety of reasons, and we'll get into that eventually. But I think it's just like a hot button topic that has just become, a catchphrase. Like it's sexy now to talk about mental health or mental wellness. And that wasn't something we talked about when I was a kid. That wasn't something we talked about even 10 years ago.
Correct.
Honestly, I would almost say just in the past 5 years, mental health has become a thing that we talk about because more people have committed suicide. More people have spoken out about their depression. And a lot of women have talked about postpartum depression. Like my mom was like, postpartum depression, she had 5 children. So she's like, girl, okay. Yeah. I had to go back to work 2 months after I had my kid. There was not such a thing in other generations and before now. So I think the beauty of social media is that we do have these platforms to talk about things that are really happening to people and that are really affecting people that we weren't even recognizing before. So I never thought about mental health when I was competing. I never thought about depression. I'm sure I was, upset and depressed, so to speak, when I didn't win a competition. But you just keep pressing forward. What are you going to do? You just have to keep pressing forward. So it's really challenging for me. I don't minimize anybody's experience or anybody's journey, but I also think for this younger generation, y'all have to toughen up because L's happen.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Lay down and stay down? No, you're going to wait until the next year when you're eligible again and you're going to study to show yourself approved. As it says in the Bible, I'm a Bible believer. And so I'm just study to show yourself approved. That just means that I have done more work. I have outpaced myself, and now I'm back this year, and I'm better. That's it. That's all you can do.
I love that. Mindset.
Love it.
There are 2 memories that come to mind. I remember when I was here they'd say a freshman in high school, and I got into a fight, and dude whooped my ass, right? And it was embarrassing. And I walked home depressed, and I was going home to get the comfort from my dad, and I told him what happened, expecting to get some type of reassurance. And
Go back there.
He's like, so you're going to finish it tomorrow,
Oh my God.
and don't come back until it's finished.
See, that's the thing with raising a boy. I'm glad I have a daughter. I wouldn't know what to tell a boy. I would be like,
But
He did what I would want to go fight for my son.
Right,
So
me
that's a good thing that he
too.
taught you that,
he
actually.
was so serious. Though. He was so, he's like, go finish it, and don't come back and they finish it. And I went, finished it, and a guy named Anthony, he and I became the best of friends. But it was such a
Okay,
lesson.
please tell me, did you whoop him the second time?
I said it was a draw. It was a draw. It was a draw.
Okay.
And then another time, my dad being the coach, I'm expecting I'd get some type of allowance. So there was a time trial to get on a team, and I didn't make it. I missed it by one spot, and I was like, "Well, Dad, am I going to be on?" He's like, "No, you have to try harder the next time."
Wow.
You have to try harder the next time.
Mm. That would sting me.
Yeah,
Man.
it did, but it's something now. For me, if I take a L, I'm like, let's go. What did I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the
Let's
drawing
finish
board.
it. And people underestimate that it starts early. Like I tell my daughter, no. Like if I was to bring her here and I say, if you don't win, what do? It's try harder.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we missed that mark today. It's like, all right, you didn't win, but you know what? You didn't make it. You'll still get a medal. It's all right. It's fine.
Yeah, no.
No,
No,
You
I
know?
think you should obsess about the goal instead of obsess about the failure.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people they put themselves in this. And I was taught that depression is a past state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're replaying past situations, and that's why you feel depressed in the present. And anxiety is worrying about the future. So it's like you really have to manage the two of them and not be too obsessed about your future because you just don't know. Mm-hmm. And you can't be overly obsessed about the past because it's already done with. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing right now to manage what you have? Right.
That's
so it's
so
like,
true.
what cards do you have in front of you? Because you don't know what the next person is going to put down. Mm-hmm. And what you've already put down, it's already done. That play's already been made. So now what?
I appreciate you saying that. I'm like, because anxiety is real.
Yes,
it is.
It's real.
It
is.
Is.
Full disclosure, I have a therapist. I believe that women and men should literally, even if you're fine, like,
you're
but
not.
even
if you're fine,
I think
you're
I'm
really
okay,
not.
but then I sit down with my therapist, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not okay. But anxiety is real. I have horrible anxiety because I think about the future and not be, and I think like, okay, my next move, am I going to make the right move? So, but it's true. You got to think about your goals instead of thinking about the other part.
Yeah,
so
it's so hard to do. It really is. And with social media, to your point about just comparison and just looking at people that seem to have these perfect lives and perfect love lives, and they have amazing homes and the best car that's always clean. It's like all these things that I am I'm struggling with having those same things and thinking that by this age I would have it by now. You have to just kind of scale back and realize that they're on their own journey. You're on yours. And just keep improving your vision board. Like, what is it that you want? What, have you even identified the amount of money that you want to be making or need to be making? Have you identified the kind of car you want to have? Like, what's your dream? Mm-hmm. So one of the things I have had a hard time with over years, especially after making so many dreams happen, is so many wild dreams, like becoming Miss Florida, becoming Miss America, which is wild to me. I've had a hard time with setting bigger goals. And it's not because I don't think I can get them, but it's almost just like, okay, well, what else do I want?
What's next? Because that's like the highest.
Right.
Yeah.
Stage.
I mean, it's like I have performed on different stages. I have met all of these dignitary people. So,
at a young age as well.
Yeah. So
okay,
like
Ericka,
what matters to me?
Next for you?
Yes.
It's president time. Okay. You're gonna be the next president.
Oh my gosh.
Michelle Obama, listen.
I totally
Obama,
appreciate
listen.
you. Thank you. That's
I
very
see it.
sweet.
I can see it.
I don't know about that one. I don't know if I want that.
Okay,
but I'll be president of something.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But maybe not the United States, but something. I take that.
So, all right. So Miss America, Miss Florida, Lifeline Lady, those are brands, right? Do you still go by that brand, and what would you say is the strength of branding as to how you guys did it?
Tell me about the Lifeline Lady. What does that mean?
Okay, so my family, I'm from Chicago, Illinois, South Side. It's like the rural, like it's the deep, you see movies, say The Last Dance, you've seen, Kanye West, Twisted, all of them. It's not so great, it's the hood. So for me, I've always been the lifeline of my mom, my dad, my brother, my cousin, my uncle, my aunt. And for me, my purpose, I'm just me. I'm the lifeline for everyone else. And I love it. And I've learned to accept, it's a burden. People think, oh my gosh, am I burdening you? Like, I know you're at home. It's okay because I've accepted. This is what God put me on earth for. I'm the lifeline person. So I created the lifeline because everyone calls me because I am the go-to. I'm not only the go-to for my family, but I am the go-to for attorneys, for doctors. If you've been into an accident, you call me. If you need a real estate agent, you're going to call me. If you need your house sold, you better call me.
Right.
Okay. So that's what the Lifeline Lady is all about. And to answer your question, I'm sorry, we went off topic. You want to know, what was your question?
Yeah. What
is the brand? Yeah.
The brand.
The brand.
So that is your brand.
Yeah.
Meeting people, as far as my brand and, getting it out there. And I literally working for attorneys for about 10 years. I've worked for Tim Morgan. I've worked for Matt Morgan. I've worked for Bogan Munns and Munns. And through the years, I said, I'm tired of making people millions and millions of dollars. What about me? I'm stepping out. I'm doing the Lifeline Lady. Like I said, I'm the Lifeline Lady, but I need to make some money for myself. So I start creating these relationships, meeting some amazing people. Saku's one of them. And I'm like, I can do this. Like, this is what Bianca is all about. And that's how I started branding myself because I'm pretty much the go-to person. So meeting these people and keeping these relationships, it's great because I'm learning things. And I'm even learning things from you.
Oh, thanks.
And it's been great.
Yes.
So.
That's good.
And Ericka, how has your brand as Miss Florida, Miss America, how has that branded your company?
So, as I mentioned before, the name of my company is Crown Communication Group. I have crowns everywhere. I'm always wearing crowns. You know what I'm saying? So, I try to represent being a queen, and I am a queen of my family. So similar to yourself, like I'm a lifeline to my family, and that can be very challenging because it's like, my father is 85 and my mother is up in her 70s. She probably doesn't want me to say how old she is, but she, so they rely on me for a variety of things, and whether that's doctor's appointments or, reading certain documents to them or whatever it is that, they need somebody to be their lifeline. Like that's what I do. I feel like I'm clearly a lifeline to my daughter who's not quite 2 years old. Like she needs me. So I do things for my family, for my legacy. And my legacy is not just what I do, what I produce, but what also my parents have produced in me and what they expect out of me. So, I feel like my brand has a lot to do with what do I interpret as being royal, being a queen. And to me, like I said earlier, that means I have to serve others in order to best serve myself, is to give my expertise, give my resources to other people, organizations, places so that they can amplify their mission. And then I can live out my mission through them.
Wow. So it seems like the common denominator, which I completely embody in terms of my brand, is staying true to who you are. right? I feel like a lot of people, when they're creating their companies, their businesses, and they're creating a brand, it doesn't represent, or there's no semblance of them. Like there's no value from them that's in their brand, and it's not communicated. So for me, one thing, like when I started my company, one thing in my brand was I had to be authentic, and everything I did, my brand had to communicate being authentic, to create access for people, to create access for underserved, to create access to voices that aren't heard. But I had to be consistent with the brand. And most entrepreneurs, they change it so many times. So their voice, their message, it really gets lost. So, staying true to your value and who you are, but also being consistent is such a strength in terms of branding. And then you have some people who don't brand at all.
Right. Well, it builds trust, and it builds your ability to have that relationship with your clients, so that they feel like you can get the job done. So it just helps them to be more confident in who you are and what you say you could do, and you're authentic to who you are and what the brand mission is all about.
And it's less stress. Like it's easy. It comes easy. You know, like,
because like, have you ever had to remember a lie? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's like terrible.
It's like, did I say that? Like, Jesus.
Oh man,
it should be easy. It should come with ease. Yeah.
All right. So as we wrap up, the final question I always ask my guests is, "What's your why?"
Well, I mean, I'm going to take this quite literally. Like I said before, legacy is important to me. My middle name is Yolanda, so my literal why is YOLO.
Okay.
Nice.
Listen, you only live once, man, so you have to. My why is like, when somebody calls me with an opportunity, if it makes sense for me, let's go. I only live once. I don't have time to like overthink. I don't overthink. That's the one thing I don't do. I think that I'm very discerning and I make quick, solid decisions, but I go with certain things that make sense to me in that moment. And so far, I haven't had a lot of flashback from that. I think it's working out, but yeah, you only live once. So just go, just do it, because you never know, that opportunity may not come again.
That's true.
Especially if it doesn't affect somebody else. Like if it's not going to be malicious to anybody else, go for it.
Wow. Some pressure on me. For me, I think I love YOLO. I love it all day, every day. Like I am the epiphany of YOLO. Like I love it. For me, I think I believe you live every day and you die once, right? So living every day for me is living my truth, even if it takes, 33 years to figure out who I am. I have my daughter. She's 13 years old, single mom. Her dad is in Australia. So I don't know what it's like to be, to live in a single household. My parents have been together for about 37 years. So I'm really having a hard time. Like, okay, so I'm mom and then I'm dad. So for me, my why is my daughter. I mean, I know as cliche as it sounds as a single mom, my why is my daughter, because I want her to know you can really do anything you put your mind to, even if it takes you 33 years.
Oh my gosh, it's so no time. I don't want you to think that's a long time. Only because I think I'm the senior person. I'm the senior person on the couch here. I look 27, but I am 40.
Great.
All
You
day.
look great.
And I'm okay with being 40, because it's like, literally today I was looking at Facebook at one of my friends from elementary school. And bless her heart, life has not been good to her. And, perhaps that's choices she's made, perhaps that's situations she's been, inadvertently a part of. But I just feel like oh my gosh, just wait. It gets so much better.
I'm excited.
You
I'm
should
excited.
be. Because like this is your Jesus year. Like you're going through the transformation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So in a
Yes.
minute, it's gonna get super good for you. And
Yes.
there's a lot of 33-year-olds that have no clue. So you're doing great.
Yeah.
You should applaud yourself.
Thank you. And on that note, we need to make a toast because this has been
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So as we toast, we always toast to who we're gonna crown. We do it for every episode.
Okay.
For someone that is an unsung hero, someone who has served but they're underserved. And today it is Miss Ericka Dunlap. That is who we're crowning for this episode.
And I am so honored to be.
And the reasons
Love
are,
it.
you know, in 90 years of Florida is a wild state.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
And to
Even
still,
for the beauty pageants.
Yeah. And to still be the only African American woman that has been crowned. You serve the community. You're articulate. You're poised. You're a mother. You're a businesswoman. You encourage and you give service. And in a world where beauty stops at beauty. But for you embody beauty, but you go beyond beauty and serve, which is such a rare and underestimated quality. So
I love it.
it's Ericka Dunlap.
Ericka, let's cheers to
Crowning. Let's
Ericka
cheers.
Dunlap. Proud of
Yes.
you.
Yes.
I was not expecting that.
So, ladies, thank you for coming. It's
Thank
been,
you.
Yes.
I feel like we could have talked on
I
and
know.
I have a new little
on.
sister.
Yes.
Yes,
it's-
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you as well.
Thank
Like
you.
you all are killing it. You're doing
Yeah.
great
So-
things.
Yes.
So again, another episode of the Crown Me Now podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode. We have a special guest coming on.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's